Hi, welcome back to another episode of What the Heck Next. I got lucky today. I have the coolest guest. His name is Michael Kehoe. He's an award winning writer, director, and producer who started in Brooklyn, New York, and loved theater and movies and chased his dream because life has a way of changing our plans, the ones we never planned to change. And he is living proof of the evolution and the Hollywood hustle. I can't wait for him to tell you about all the details from starting off working in the gym with Sylvester Stallone, working as craft service, which is like catering on movie sets, working with people like Tom Cruise, J.J. Abrams, and many more. This guy is it. I am so impressed with his career. Let's get talking to Michael Kehoe. Hi, welcome back to another episode of What the Heck Next. I am your host, Carrie Morrow. In Hollywood, they say it's who you know. Well, let me tell you something about this guy. My guest today is bigger than life. He has worked his way from working as a trainer with Sylvester Stallone all the way up to directing, producing, and award winning on a short called Hush, which he made about his twin sons and their childhood nightmare fears of monsters. And I can't wait to introduce him. He is a way of evolving through Hollywood like nobody else because life is a way of changing our plans, the ones we never planned to change. Welcome, Michael Kehoe, to my podcast. Thank you for having this time to be with me, and I really appreciate you. And I can't wait to hear. I've read about you. Oh my gosh, you're the big deal.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
You had aspirations young. Like I saw that you were like in theater and doing stuff really young.
Well, when I was about 6 or 7 years old, my mother was a director in the local theater for the church. I was brought up in a parish called St. Jerome's. She was very active there, and she started directing plays. And she would bring me down to the theater at night when they were doing rehearsals, and I was watching her, and I thought, well, I love seeing her tell people what to do. So I thought, this is what I want to do, not knowing. It was her being creative and getting people to do things that were entertaining. So I went and did that, and I followed that path. We moved from Brooklyn to a place called Trumansburg, New York, which is up in the Ithaca area, which is about 5 hours away. And I got involved in theater in high school. I also played soccer and baseball, and I was in a rock band. It was a very small school. There was only 99 kids in my class, and maybe, each grade had around the same. I was able to be a chameleon, with all the cliques. So I got along with everyone. And at some point, I decided that after being in a number of plays, that I would put together a play. I'd seen Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest a couple of years before, and I thought maybe I'll put this play on and I'll direct it. I didn't know what a producer did, but I learned through doing it that one of the things that we had to do is I had to have access to the school, and they only gave me access from 3 o'clock to around 5. So the the janitor had the keys, and I went in to see him, and during his lunch, he doesn't like to be bothered during lunch. So I said, Al, I left something in the auditorium. Can I get your keys and open it? And I just got to pull this stuff out. It'll take me a little while. I'll be done before you're. He says, don't worry, I don't have to go in there yet. Just go there, get it done, and get it back. I got the keys, got in my car because I was 16, I think, or 17 at the time. Drove over to the lumberyard, took this key that said "Do not duplicate." Brought it to this guy because I worked at a bowling alley restaurant. He knew me. He said, what are you doing? I thought you were going to school. I said, yeah, I got to get this key made. And I would hold on to it. And each time he grabbed it, because it said, do not duplicate on the key. And then I would hold it, and he'd reach and he grabbed it and said, what the hell's the matter with you? And then he just made the key. So now I had a copy of the school. Went back, gave it to Al. And when we were kicked out of the auditorium, I would sit in the parking lot with this guy who was helping me build the set. We hid down in our car, waited till everybody left, and then went back in there, and we had access to the stage till about midnight. The kid who helped me, his name was Alan G. He had blown his left hand off from fooling around with firecrackers. So I had a one-armed construction worker and Grip who helped me build the set. We ended up doing it, and normally they had these plays that ran Friday, Saturday, and a matinee on Sunday, and then it would go away. Well, we sold out every show, and we went 3 weekends. And one of the things that I realized now, what a producer does, was I was thinking, how am I going to pack the theater? And so what I did was I made all the crazies, in the asylum football players, because the football team always has an incredible crowd. So we packed the theater and they promoted it, which they would never have done because thespians and, athletes don't get along, sometimes, but it worked out. Then I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, left there and came out here to follow my dream. So
That you did. That's amazing. So you started with
what happened
Stallone
was
in the
I was
gym?
bartending. I bartended my way through college, and I was bartending at a place called Wampoppers, which was up on the Universal Hill. I met this
I
guy. His
remember.
name was Kevin Elders, and Kevin was a writer, and he wrote this little script called Junior Eagle. And I helped him. He kept saying to me, "I'm going to get you out of here. I'm going to get you out of here." And one day he called me. He said, "Listen, I'm an accountant on a show. I'm going to get you a job. You're going to meet this guy. His name is Jim Brubaker." And I went to MGM and met Jim Brubaker, and he said, "I got a job for you." He says, "It's you can't tell anybody." And I was at the gym preparing things for Stallone during Rocky Four, and Dolph Lundgren was there, and Carl Weathers, and a number of great boxers that would come in, and it was a who's who. Grace Jones was there. Once in a while, I would get on the in the ring with Dolph because I was about the same size or same height as Sly. I then got a call from Kevin. He said, "You're going to quit." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because I got the deal for our movie and we're going to Israel." And so I went to Israel on a movie that ended up being Iron Eagle. I met Jason Gedrick, who played the lead in that. And Jason and I became good friends.
Yeah.
He lived with me for a little while. And then after the movie was over, I didn't talk to him. I worked with Kevin and Ron Samuels, who was the producer on the show, for a number of years, and Ron was great. Ron treated me like a son, and I didn't talk to Jason for probably almost 40 years. And I was deleting my Twitter account at around 2:15 in the afternoon, and around 2 o'clock, Jason was trying to get a hold of me, and he said, "Mikey, I wrote this script. It's a little horror script. We're going to raise the money. I don't know how to direct. Would you want to direct it with me?" And I said, "Sure. Okay." And we start actually in November. Originally going to go to Kentucky, but myself and Matthew Smith, who's our producer and line producer, we tried to do everything that we could to try to do it here. Now, there's no above the line incentive. There's below the line, and all my friends
Right.
are hurting and need work. They're losing their health insurance. I literally get, on the average, maybe 4 to 5 emails a day, and somebody saying, "Hey, man, if anything comes up, please let me know." So I've put a number of those people on the list for us, but I just feel bad, and it hurts that.
We spent our life, even whatever position you had in Hollywood, you spend your life giving jobs to people you know. It reminds me so much of the Titanic, like, who has a piece of the door? Who holding on to
Yeah.
the door? Because it's heartbreaking to me. I have friends we have a friend in common who's just said, "I'm done. I'm selling my house. I'm leaving Burbank and moving to Boca." It's it's not recognizable to me. That's not the world we grew up in. We grew up in this abundant, fruitful, overflowing business that there was we never had conversations where people were starving, disability, food stamps, no insurance. What world are we in? And it just kills me that I'm having this conversation and they say it's coming back.
Or what? We're
That's a
trying to
problem.
boost it below the line and making deals with the actors to say, look, you want to sleep in your bed at night here, and but we've got to make a deal. So the actors have been great. It's going to be a favored nations. It's just what I see is the only way to um, predict your future is to create it. And so if I decide that I wanted to go to Kentucky because it's there's a lot of work there, or Arizona or New Mexico, I'd have to move there. But I don't have the connections with everybody. I don't have the toys in New Mexico or Louisiana or whatever. I know people there now, but my EP is here. The people who have families are here, and I figured, what is it that we can do together, collectively, to create a world for each other so we can, continue to survive, because the business is evolving, and in a good way in some ways, but everybody thinks it's coming back. It's not coming back like the way that it was. And anybody who thinks so, they're living in a dream world. So the thing we have to do is we have to create work for ourselves, and it is possible. Everybody, the people that I'm working with now on this movie, are so talented and so creative. And this movie is just under $3 million, but the people that are on it do $200 million movies. They're willing and able to come in and give of themselves, and bring their talents to a tiny little movie like this that'll end up looking like it's a $20 million movie. But yeah.
That's the evolution because I think we had this conversation about those vertical movies, those little vertical movies, they're shooting on phones, that people of unbelievable talent, credits like are going to work for $250 a day. No benefits, no union, no rules, no regulations, no meal penalties, nothing. And there is an evolution. I think it's really refreshing for people to consider things they never considered before. I'm getting called almost weekly. We have $2 million. Okay, what do you want to shoot? Don't tell me The Matrix. Okay, so that's not going to happen. Script match the budget, match the dream, and we're off and running. I started in that world. I worked for Charlie Band and all those movies back then, and the movies were $1 million, $1 million. And we had amazing talent on those movies. I I have friends that are DGA, taking jobs, working under the table as ADs on these productions because there's no other work for them, and they are losing their everything, homes, benefits, cars, marriages, everything else that goes with it. I agree with you. It's not coming back in
Yeah.
any recognizable form. Some form, it's like stages of a rocket. I mean, it's almost like
Hmm.
I said the other day to somebody, it's almost like The Purge. I love talking to guys like you because you really went out on a limb here.
And Gedrick, who's my partner on this, it's his script, and we decided we were going to, put our heads together to find out how we can do it. We got Matt. Matt is incredible. Matt is the driving force to keep it here as well. We have another producer named Jeremy Adler, who is to watch him at work to negotiate and do things. And he's not the kind of guy to cut your feet off. He just is honest and says, this is what it is. Chris Sadler, who's our another co-producer on it, that's helping us put things together. It's a collective group of people that are in the same frame of mind, that want to do something creatively but don't want to compromise on anything. How can we get from A to Z by doing it the way that we want and making it look like this tone that we are shooting for? I believe that it can happen, and it can be done. And there's a lot of talented people. People used to say when it was going on, well, I don't make that. That's not my rate. If I don't get this, I'm not doing it. And now it's not about the rate. It's about your health insurance. So what we're trying to do is get everybody, yeah, everybody their health insurance and do it. And if you're not working
Right.
and there's
We
no
had that
money coming
conversation.
in and you don't have health insurance, so you make something like half of what you made or a little less than what you made, and we're able to pull it off because I'm not making the money that I would want to make on this either. It's not a DGA film, but I'm not getting the money that would be promised to me, but I'm doing it because I'm in the same circle as these people that I admire and I want to work with.
Well, I agree. It's not about the rate. The rate's gone out the door. I keep saying to everybody, it's one thing to be a grown up and you lose your job and you're not sure what's going to happen. It's another thing to lose your paycheck, and then the paycheck comes with benefits, and then everything that rolls downhill from there. Our business is based on future earnings. So our benefits, I've tried to explain this, what we earn now benefits us in 6 months from now. If we don't have a now, we don't have a 6 month from now.
Even though we still want to do it here and we want to do that.
Is
All
it
of my
IA?
friends, it was either going
Doing
to
it
do it
IA? Yeah.
in Kentucky non-union or, in another state non-union, or stay here and see what kind of deals we can make. I spoke to local lady about getting the stage, and they were more than willing, and they would give me an incredible price if we need it. And there are some places in town that are great locations, but a lot of times when you shoot in town, you know, businesses don't want their storefronts blocked. So you're paying for a permit, you're paying for a fireman all day long, the costs start to escalate. You start seeing the budgets bleeding. It's just not what you were thinking in the beginning. Then people are taking money out of their pocket and they're, mortgaging their homes and things like that. And that's not fair. It's not right. So I think we've secured a good enough budget to make this happen, and no one's going to get hurt by it as far as the little crew, that the circle of people that are putting it together. And hopefully other people will see this and say, hey, I'm there for you. I'm trying to surround ourselves with people that are hungry and also talented. We scheduled it for about 18 days. I wanted to put an emphasis on putting money into
Mhm.
camera and grip and electric, and and sound. And if we can do that, we can get more coverage throughout the day. We have two cameras that we're shooting with, and I actually have three rigs for the iPhone with cinema lenses. So anything that you do wide, so we'll have five cameras for that, so we can get our days. And I've storyboarded
Oh, wow.
most of what we're doing, so we could stay ahead of the schedule. And I did a proof of concept called 99 Problems. And we shot that. When people look at it, they say, was that like 150 million, 100 million? And it was nowhere near that. And I had 75 crew members during COVID. There's a lot of people that said no, but everybody wanted to work because there was, something happening. It was non-union, but we couldn't do it. Nobody was. They were going to tell us, you got to bring the COVID people out. You've got to test. You've got to do this, and we had to go through so many hoops. So we did it. Not one person got sick. Not one person complained. The film won about 120 awards. So it wasn't. It's not me that got that award for that. Those 120 awards are from the people that gave of themselves and surrounded me. That's who I thank for that.
Did to say, "Let and we wanna stay," and yes, the philosophy of sleep in your bed. When did that become part of making movies, sleeping in your bed? That's not why we got into this, this business. We got into it because that was our passion and that's what we did, and we had so much fun doing it. It's those conversations never happened before. I never spent my career
Mhm.
going, "Okay, where's the cheapest place?
Right.
How much can we get back, and
Well,
how
I mean,
far can we
yet you
go?"
see now what's happening to our a lot of the studios are going overseas, and the independents need to formulate some way of attacking this and doing it. And to tell you the truth, poverty breeds creativity. And I think that that's the key for all of this. If we can figure out a way to make this movie, and make it exactly the way that we've envisioned, and we can do it here for a price, we do it. And I think that's what's happening with this picture. I think I've been blessed with the friends that I have and the people that I meet every day. I don't want any toxicity in my life, and people who are negative. Every day we get up and we are so thankful for having this creative circle. That's what I want to continue on doing, because I don't want to give it up. I mean, when I'm 110, I want to be still doing what I'm doing. Hopefully, doing another interview with you.
That's what I say, is that we were freelance employees, so we actually never knew where our next dollar was coming from. We are truly trained to be patient and wait, and now it's really important for me. That's why I started this podcast, was just to create a safe place to be scared and hopeful. You can be both. Both can be true in the same sentence. And I really believe, because I've also worked all over the world, I have seen there many models. Is there a situation in Hollywood where some stage, like a Santa Clarita, creates a full-time staff crew? They're all on staff. And it's not they pay their benefits, you see, and they pay their rates, but they don't have to answer to the union, which is the first thing that makes studio people who are not union people wanna get the heck out of here. I don't wanna pay the union. I did Saw 10. The first thing they said to me was, "Not one union person. You're not hiring one IA person." Okay, well, going to Mexico City where there's none. It's become like a four-letter word, and it's people's livelihoods. They don't appreciate that. I appreciate that I'm in the DGA, or I was in the DGA. I don't know what I am anymore. But we wanted to be the one to decide when it was gonna slow down. You wanna be 110? I'll join you. I have all the energy in the world. I'm like a wind-up doll. I'm happy to keep going. But I didn't want the business to say, "I'm so sorry, we just don't need all of you anymore, and we're gonna go find another version of you in London or Saudi Arabia or Dubai." I wanna keep going, and I want my friends to keep going. It's interesting, people call me and "What do you think?" Somebody said to me the other day, "The business is, like, really weird." I go, "No, it's not. What you see is what you get. It's not weird. This is the new. It's not coming back the way you recognize it. Otherwise, you're gonna think this moment is weird. This m like, embrace this moment like you've done." I so admire you looking at it going, "Okay, what do we have to do to make it work now? Right this minute." And that's what's important, you know? To the people that worked for me and with me, they're all turning to this crazy Chinese vertical productions, which, by the way, shoot in Los Angeles, non-union, non-SAG, non-DGA, non-anything. They pay our people $150 a day. They take our products and take them back to China on their streaming services and make billions, not millions, billions. With our talent, our locations, they're making them here. So how can we benefit from that structure? They're getting away with it. They're getting, by the way, permits to do it here in this city. To shoot in Los Angeles.
If you look at art in Laurel Canyon and you're a Paramount or Disney movie or whatever, and it's a $200 million movie, you get the permits, you get the police, the firemen, you get to shut off a couple of lanes, you do that, you get everything in place, and you pay for everything for what it is. Now, that $200 million movie shuts down and they leave there. Now, a little $500,000 movie or a $1 million movie like mine that wants to be union comes
Mhm.
in there. We have to pay the same exact fees that the $200 million movie pays. And I think what has to happen, I was just having this conversation with somebody who's working in Arizona, and he said, Mike, I'd love to talk to you about this because what we're trying to do is find out how. I know that there's tiers for the movie business of what you're going to pay people, but what about getting tiers for permits and the amounts there? I said, well, that's exactly what I was telling him to try to do. So I don't know if Film LA is going to do that because you still have to pay the cops the same, and you do need the police. I'm not saying anything that we don't need them or the firemen. I think in Louisiana they do what they call a spot check, where the fireman comes out and checks everything, and then they say, "You do anything out of the ordinary here, I shut you down." So everybody's on it. There's more to it than what I'm saying, and I just think that people need to sit down in a room and say, if we can bring back the $1 million movies and the $200 million movies, and we could do it in such a way where the cost is down. But you also have all those businesses that are being shut down. Everybody has their hand out. They want money. I remember this is a perfect example. I was directing this movie, and it was in Burbank. The camera was set up to uh, shoot on a side of a street, and we see all these houses in a line, and only one person, this woman, turned her sprinklers on just to stop what we were doing. And so the location manager said to me, I got to go down there and give her $500. I said, no, don't do that. And he said, well, what are we going to do? I said, go down there and tell her, thank you for turning on the water. We're going to use it in the shot. And when he walked down the steps and came back, she shut the water off. People are ready to throw money out on things and nobody wants to negotiate or do something. If that woman had a son or a nephew or a daughter that wanted to get into the movie, we would have talked to them and say, hey, bring them out. Let's help each other. We're all a family. We should be helping each other. I don't want to see one of my friends suffering because they don't have health insurance anymore, or they have to get rid of their car, or have to sell their home.
I spent my life hiring 200, 300 people. There was not a production that I produced where some location manager or PA or wardrobe assistant didn't come up to me and say, "I don't know if it's possible, but could I get my SAG card?" Or, "Could you write this letter to the 706?" Sure, because that's what we were built on, helping people, rising people up. I didn't have a struggle. I was so in this business faster than I even knew what I asked for. And so those who wanted something up. This is Hollywood. This was such a human business. This is how it started. And we came west to create a world where we were. I loved my career. I have helped more people than I could possibly imagine. And I am so like you. I believe that this podcast is helping people.
I want to be a creator than a savior. And if creating
Right.
saves people, that's great. But
Wow.
I have to think in those terms. And the more that I think in those terms, I start to accumulate this little circle of other creative people, and we continue on the road. Now, am I going to make every movie here? Probably not. We do what we can. I do want to be here and wake up in the morning and be able to go to bed at night in my bed and then enjoy the weekends here. But sometimes you have to go on location.
Yeah. I just did a budget for a movie who the whole way I was convincing Irma, said, "I think we need a budget for London."
Other business.
I think it's really important that you're so kind and so generous with your thinking. But I'm like you. I wanna keep believing that there is a version that we can do. And by the way, I actually believe that the word "here" is starting to mean the United States. I have a friend that's involved with Trump trying to create a package to present to him because there are a lot of laws that restrictions in the tax tariff on IP digital properties, and if studio has a certain amount of people overseas, then they can't be taxed. I keep saying, I'd love to be a part of that conversation. Let's go. Come on. Let's make it here. I've plenty to say about it. People like you have so much creativity to offer towards it. That's what we can keep doing, is keep offering. Because listen, I don't wanna be doom and gloom. I'm here to go, let's just keep talking, like, don't let go. Don't let go. And people, I mean, my dear friend is moving to Tennessee, and another friend moved to Boca, and my other friend, location manager, moved to Maryland. They just can't hold on. So I think it's I think it's hopeful that shows like yours are the meat and potatoes of what keeps us going, you know? So good for you. I'm so grateful that I got to talk to you because I think it's really important, by the way, for people to know that there are filmmakers out there like you that are not just jumping on the ship going, "Okay, wherever I'll go make it London, wherever." God bless London, I mean, if that works for people, but look at poor Georgia. The whole Hollywood ran to Georgia, now Georgia ran to London, and those people are really hurting. It's not good. So, thank you very much, Michael Kehoe. I wish you the best of luck, and thanks so much for coming, and thanks everybody for another episode of What the Heck Next. My name is Carrie Morrow. Please like, subscribe, and follow wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and more. I look forward to seeing you again. Thanks so much, Michael.